What's up, everybody? It is July the 15th, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching this on the replay, please hit the thumbs up as well. Share this video. Please share this video. Now, this morning, technically every morning, there's so much happening in the news. And I'm thinking, what do we want to talk about? What should we talk about? What should I talk about? There's so much going on. Do we want to talk about alligator Alcatraz? So much is happening with that. Do we want to talk about California? So much is happening with that, a marijuana facility. Do we want to talk about, it's just so much, the autopen? Do we want to talk about the client list? Do we want to talk about the tariffs? What is it that we want to talk about? Well, I decided to talk about one of the biggest scandals, if not the biggest scandal that we know of in American history. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only scandal. There's probably other scandals. There's probably some scandals that are so big that we will never know until, of course, we leave this planet. You know what I mean? But as of right now, today, I truly believe that we are as being uncovered as if, we didn't know already. But this is one of the biggest scandals. And when I'm talking about not even the Epstein client list, I'm not talking about that. We all know that there's a manifest, okay? We don't have to go down that road. But I'm talking about when President Trump was in office the first time. And I constantly mentioned that Obama knew about what was going on. Remember, they did the whole fake Russia collusion delusion? They did the whole dossier. They went to the FISA courts. Now, to my understanding, if you go to the FISA courts with fraudulent information, you could go to prison for that. Well, they went to the FISA courts with fraudulent information, and guess what happened? The judge, the FISA court judge, knew that it was fake and still pushed it through, allowed it to happen. Did they ever come out and say who that judge was? He or she? Did they ever release the name of that judge? Why not? Is the judge still sitting on the bench? If so, why? Well, now there's an investigation into the whole dossier Russia collusion delusion. And, the past 4 years, they were never going to touch it. Never going to touch it. They didn't have any anticipation of it ever coming out in the first place. See, President Trump, he was never, ever supposed to walk through the White House doors. Wasn't supposed to happen. They were like, okay, you know what? We can do this corruption. And in their minds, they're saying we're going to get away with it. There's no way that Trump is going to come back to the White House. There's no way that he's going to have his DOJ. There's no way that any of that will ever happen. So they had it in their minds that they could go ahead and just do it. See, every step of the way, everything that they did, they were doing to try to stop Trump, to get rid of Trump. Every step of the way. 2 assassination attempts. What else? Raiding his home twice. 4 indictments. 90-something plus charges. Trying to bankrupt him. Beautiful mugshot. The mugshot of Mona Lisa's, right? They tried to do everything humanly possible to get rid of Trump. They just knew that he wasn't coming back. They made up scandal after scandal. They made up scandal after scandal on President Trump, trying to convince everybody that President Trump was not going to be the one. They lied to him about everything. They said that he was hateful. They said he was racist. They said everything under the sun about President Trump. Which brings us to Obama. I remember the Demoncrats would go all on social media when they were talking about President Trump, and they were saying President Trump had all these scandals going on. And then all of the liberals, Every last one of them that I saw say anything about when Obama was in office, they said Obama was the first administration to have zero scandals. They were so happy about it. They were so prideful about it. Zero scandals. Not a single scandal happened under Obama. They kept saying it. And some of them are still saying it today. But now that all this information is coming out, see, I knew that the Obama administration was corrupt. You know, it wasn't no secret for me. But some people had a problem acknowledging it. You know, some people didn't even pay attention to it. Some people didn't even pay attention to it. One of the largest scandals ever. You know what? The scandals took place under Obama. And who was the VP? Who was the VP? This is the trick question. Who was Obama's VP? This is a trick question. Joe Biden. It's not a trick question. Come on. Joe Biden continued the scandals when he went to office, when he went to the White House for 4 years, 4 terrible years for this country. Joe Biden was there. Scandal after scandal. And the biggest scandal that happened with Joe Biden is this auto pen. I mean, this auto pen is like the pen that keeps on giving. First, they came out and said that Joe Biden was aware of everything that took place with the auto pen. He gave the authority, he gave the permission for them to use the auto pen. They informed him of whatever it was, and he said, okay, yeah, do the auto pen. Yes, do the auto pen. Yes, do the auto pen. There was a chart, and I should have taken a screenshot of this chart. There's a chart of Joe Biden when he first went in 2020 to when he left in 2024. The use of the auto pen. Now, when he first went in, I don't remember exactly how it was. I think the auto pen was maybe used like 4 times when he first went in, 4 times. And then everything else he was signing. He was signing stuff left and right, feeling good about it, left and right. Executive order. This executive order, just signing everything he could. And then as the years went by, up to 2024, him signing stuff started declining. And the auto pen started going on an incline to the point to where in 2024, 100% of Joe Biden's signatures was from the auto pen. Not 90%, not 99%, but 100% allegedly was being reported. 100% of the auto pen in 2024. Which brings us to the question, why in the world was he unable to sign anything? Nothing. It was like he wasn't even, the brain capacity he had was not even there. He couldn't sign a single document. It's his own name. How long has he been writing his own name? So you mean to tell me after all this time, it gets up to 2024 and he's unable to sign a single document? And let me remind y'all, when he was on his way out the door, he did a whole bunch of executive orders. The auto pen did a whole bunch of executive orders. So the question remains that if Joe Biden was not capable of signing it himself, why would these executive orders and these pardons, primarily these pardons, why would any of them be valid? Don't y'all have the same question? Aren't y'all thinking about it too? Are they valid? Are these pardons valid now? I mean, come on. I don't think that they're valid at all. Every single pardon, every single executive order in the year 2024 should be revoked, undone. And that needs to be part of Joe Biden's legacy. And this needs to reflect on the Demoncrat Party. Because the Demoncrats, you can't tell me that they didn't know about this. There's many Democrats that knew. And you know what? I think the first person who jumped ship that knew all about this was Jen Psaki. Because she kind of left, and it's not uncommon for press secretaries to leave. Okay, it's not uncommon. But she left kind of quick. Like, she got out of Dodge really quick. Like, she had nothing to do with it. And then, of course, you have Karine Jean-Pierre, well, she was the press secretary. She came out there every day. Well, most days, some days. And she lied to the American people. Now, if you're the press secretary, I think you should be held accountable, responsible for lying to the American people, because the truth should never be anything else other than the truth. And she lied. She said Joe Biden was sharp. She never saw anything wrong with Joe. Then why did they have to have the autopen? Why? What was the purpose of the autopen? Was Joe Biden not there that much? And I'm talking about up here. He's probably physically in the room, and they said, you know what, he's sleeping right now. Just don't even wake him up. Here, put it in there. And one of the things that I've heard, now, of course, I don't have firsthand information to this. Maybe some of you do. But rumors has it, and I did say rumors, is that the autopen was for sale. They were actually selling access to the autopen. Oh, you need something signed by Joe? No show Joe? You need something signed? How much? Give me 100,000. Depending on what it is, give me 100 grand. Allegedly. Okay, it's just all rumored. But the only reason why it's even believable is because this was the Biden crime family's MO. They were selling access. They weren't selling t-shirts. They weren't selling ties. They weren't even selling the hats or even shoelaces. They were selling access. So for them to sell access to the autopen is normal operation. There's normal operating procedures when it comes to the Biden crime family. Nothing out of the ordinary here. Right? Nothing out of the ordinary. Just watch. Listen to Comer. Listen to Comer as he's talking about this autopen. And I'm in complete agreement. Everything that he signed in 2024 should be revoked, non and void. Because Joe Biden, his mental capacity was not there.
I think it would be a hard pitch in front of a court of law to try to defend what Joe Biden just admitted to the New York Times, that he didn't know exactly who all was getting pardons or not. He didn't know who was being pardoned with the use of his autopen. And that's the whole basis of this investigation. This is just the pardons. What about the executive orders? I mean, there was no process that we have found thus far, and we've brought in 4 people thus far in our interviews and depositions. No defined process by which Joe Biden was the one saying, yes, use this autopen to sign my name on this pardon or this executive order. I mean, Sean, we're just talking about signing your name, one signature. So it doesn't even take into account whether or not he was mentally able to understand what he was even signing. So this is bad, and I think this puts all of those pardons in peril from the Biden administration.
I mean, come on. Now, I'm looking in the chat, okay? I'm looking in the chat, and I'm just kind of curious. Do you think that this is one of the biggest scandals, if not the biggest scandal? Right? This, the whole fake Russia collusion dossier. I mean, every time a Demoncrat is there, there's another scandal. Bill Clinton had a scandal too now. Come on. He had a scandal. And see, under President Trump, they made up scandals, right? They tried to say that President Trump was colluding with Russia. Never happened. But this is so disturbing to me because we're supposed to be better. We are the United States of America. We don't need to do this. This shouldn't even be the case. Now, when I was younger and I was growing up and I watched these different TV shows and, you know, they talked about the 25th Amendment when the president in the White House something was wrong. And the only time when I was younger and I watched these TV shows, I don't even remember the TV shows, what they were. Maybe it was just movies. It's a long time ago. It doesn't happen anymore, right? But everybody in the White House and everybody in the government, the only time they thought about doing the 25th Amendment if something was actually wrong. Not to use it as a political weapon, but only if something was wrong. Well, today, you know, the Demoncrats, they want to use it as a political weapon unless it's someone like Joe Biden. Now, there's been discussion about it, but they kept Joe Biden's condition under the wrap so much because they had him on strings, being the puppet that he is. They had no issues with it. And of course, the Republicans, they never had access to Joe Biden that much, unless it was like Liz Cheney type of people, you know, those rhinocrats. But, and they're not going to say anything about it. They're going to go right along with the Demoncrats. Oh, there's nothing wrong with Joe. He's okay. He's fine. Joe's sharper than ever. Huh. What a scandal. Well, look at this. You want to talk about this, Shannon?
I will. So Biden, this is after the interview, some more stuff came out. Biden lawyers up after his longtime personal attorney, Bob Boyer, quits amid the autopen scandal. Now, you just heard them talk about that interview. In that interview, it was revealed that Joe Biden did not approve each name for the pardons. And after changes were made about specific inmates, Biden did not sign off on the revised list. Rather, his aides just ran the final version through the autopen without Biden's approval. New York Times said Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people, and his aides confirmed that. Rather, after extensive discussions of different possible criteria, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine which convicts would qualify for a reduction in sentences. So he didn't individually do the names, but he said, just make sure that this is the criteria that you apply to the pardons. Isn't that crazy? It says the Times reported that Bob Boyer quit after an extended clash with Hunter Biden's defense team over the nonstop scandals with Hunter.
Uh-oh.
That's right. And so he lawyered up with this new lady as his personal lawyer. But for the longest time, he had Bob Boyer as a lawyer. So it's interesting that he quit, right? And now the autopen right before that comes out. We'll see what happens. It's interesting when you lawyer up. There's a reason why you lawyer up.
Yeah. And this is a new lawyer.
He knows it's coming.
This is a new lawyer.
Yes, he knows something's coming.
So did Joe Biden get the lawyer? Or did someone in his camp get the lawyer?
No, this is a personal lawyer.
Personal lawyer.
Yes.
Again, did Joe Biden get the lawyer?
Well, I mean,
or did someone in his camp get the lawyer? Because apparently, allegedly, Joe Biden doesn't know where he is half the time. You know, they were talking about Joe Biden when he would go to donor events. In one particular donor event he went to, they had to put yellow tape, fluorescent yellow tape, down on the floor to show him which way to go. And someone's home. I'm like, this is bizarre. They used that dude. There was elderly abuse. Do you think Jill Biden has something to do with it too, Shannon? Do you think she was in on it? Do you think that she was so willing to, you know, do Joe this way, and just because she loved the power and wanted to be there?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, they said there's been articles saying that her personal assistant, I forget his name, but he was working more in the West Wing than he was with her in her wing. So they're just saying that Jill Biden was very, very present in every single thing that Biden was doing, or supposedly Biden was doing. It perhaps was more her.
Yeah. Perhaps it was more her. Probably so. Well, I have another one I want to share with you. This was on Real America's Voice, and they're talking about weaponization, right? Weaponization of the federal government against the American people, against President Trump. And they thought they were going to get away with it. Listen to this report.
In the Inspector General report, on Hillary Clinton's email that reveals that the United States intelligence community got new evidence of possible criminality in the Hillary Clinton email scandal, but did not pursue it just before James Comey cleared her of all criminal wrongdoing. That has stayed secret for 8 years. Chuck Grassley, the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman, has been relentlessly pursuing it. He has President Trump's ear. I think that's going to get declassified in the next few days. That will show that there was reason to pursue Hillary Clinton, not clear her, and not pursue Donald Trump. They should have not ever investigated him for Russia collusion.
You see that? They should have never investigated President Trump for Russia collusion, because there was no Russia collusion. It was all a delusion. And as I mentioned before, they don't care. The very reason why they went to the FISA courts, and I had never even heard of the FISA courts, just to be honest with you. It wasn't like my world. I'm not part of that. I had no idea. I'm like, FISA courts? What is that? What is that? I mean, I've heard of the Supreme Court. I've heard of the lower court. I've heard of criminal court. Not that I've ever been to any. Okay. I've heard of them, but I've never heard of a FISA court. And to come to find out that the FBI, the DOJ, they all visit the FISA court. CIA, they all go to the FISA court for certain things. And I'm still learning more about the FISA court. But to my understanding, them going to the FISA court, meaning that they're going after a high-profile person like President Trump, and they started spying on him, remember? And then President Trump mentioned about they were spying on him, wiretapping his hotel. And they go, wiretapping? Ha, 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 ha. You think that we're wiretapping him? It's still the same thing. And see, this is how liberals think. Oh, ha, ha, ha. President Trump said we're wiretapping him. No, we're not wiretapping him. We don't have to wiretap him. We can use audio listening devices from a mile away. We can get anything on him that we want. We don't have to physically wiretap the Trump Tower. And see, that's how they do a play on words. They do a play on everything to try to give it like, no, we didn't wiretap him. No, that's not what we did. Were we spying on him? That's a different question. No, we did not wiretap him. And you know what the biggest thing about all of this to me that's kind of disturbing? It's not kind of, it is disturbing. Is that this is 6 months into President Trump's administration, 6 months. And there's not a single arrest. And we're sitting there talking about it. We've known about the corruption. We've known that all these things that they've done, and not a single arrest. Now, with that said, I think they're throwing us a bone, maybe. And I'm saying maybe because I'm so sick and tired, and I'm going to go on a limb here and say that you're tired of it too. Hearing about the corruption, seeing the corruption, and and then they said, we're doing an investigation into it. We're going to find out the truth. We're going to get to the bottom of it, just to find out nothing happens. And another thing that is a pet peeve of mine, tomorrow, we're going to release all of this information. It's sitting on my desk. We're going to release it tomorrow or next week. You're going to see something really explosive. I'm so sick of that. I mean, that's like, soon as I hear that, first thing come to my mind, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to hear anything about it. If they tell you tomorrow, they say, yep, I got the evidence right now, and tomorrow I'm going to release it, they're lying. I don't care who it is. Because tomorrow comes and it never happens. Because something else happens, and then it draws everybody's attention to something else. It never happens. Am I wrong? How many times have y'all seen that? That's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I start twitching and stuff. Stop saying it. That's why I've constantly told, like if I'm doing something, and I've told my producer this, and she's experienced why I don't tell anybody anything that I am doing or what I'm working on unless it's actually happening. Because people expect certain things. And then when it doesn't happen, they're like, you lose all credibility. people have less trust in you. So the FBI's opened up a case. And I think the only reason why they open this case up right now with Obama, Brennan, Comer, Hillary Clinton, she's going to be in the mix of all this, and other various people in the mix of this, is because they're throwing us a bone. Because even President Trump, which I'm still not happy with, President Trump during the campaign said, yeah, we're going to release the Epstein files. Pam Bondi, yep, we're going to release the files. The client list is sitting on my desk. She said, yes, the client list is sitting on my desk. Now she's changing it up. Kash Patel, he said the FBI has the information. Dan Bongino, he's saying they should release it. They were all saying it. And now all of a sudden, there is no client list. And all of a sudden, there's nothing there. All of a sudden, it was only Jeffrey Epstein. It was only him. And now I believe they're throwing us a bone. Because let me ask y'all this, and y'all let me know in the chat. If they show that Obama, Comey, Brennan, Page, Strzok, Hillary Clinton, everybody involved in the whole dossier, Russia collusion, delusion, if you see them put in handcuffs and you see them in orange and you see them with a mugshot, because they took a mugshot of President Trump, they opened it all up. So you can't say anything. You can't say that you can't do it because you've already done it to President Trump over fraudulent activities that he never did himself. They did it. They did the fraudulent stuff. But yet they took a mugshot of President Trump. So they opened that door. I'm going to go on a limb because I would be, and to say that you will be, okay, I'll be satisfied if you put Obama in handcuffs. Is there anybody? Because, you're not happy about the Epstein client list, and rightfully so. I'm with you on that. But I guarantee that if they throw us a bone and put Obama in handcuffs, you're going to be like overlooking the client list. You're like, okay. We'll let that one go. We'll let it go. You ever watch movies or TV shows in the past when they show like a DA and they're going after somebody and they catch that person and that person goes, look, I'll give you so-and-so if we make a deal here. And depending on how good the deal is, the person is caught might even get to walk away. Like in this case, right? Might even got to walk away. But the DA goes, look, you have to give me something, right? Because the people want blood. You got to give the people something. And I think in this case, if President Trump's DOJ gave us Obama in handcuffs, mugshot, in orange, all the people upset, mad right now with President Trump, Pam Bondi, when it comes to the Epstein client list, I guarantee everybody will say, okay, well, we'll let it go. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Y'all let me know. I have the chats right here on my little monitor here. Y'all let me know in the chat. Am I wrong? Would y'all take Obama in handcuffs as a trade-off? I'm willing to bet that you will. I think you would take it as a trade-off. Not to say that, letting it go is a good thing, but I think you would. Hey, let me say thank you to Ann for the Facebook stars. Thank you so much, Ann. I greatly appreciate it. And let me say thank you to Filter Dog. Filter Dog, thank you so much for the gold pills on pill.net. Thank you so much. He said the biggest scandal was 81. I can't repeat that because I'm on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah. What happened in 2020 is what he's talking about. And Joe Biden was in the basement. You know the rest. Okay, I want to share something else with you, but I'm going to take a little quick short break here and share something with everyone from Jace.com. We'll be right back.
Life can be pretty unpredictable, filled with good days and not so good days. And sometimes, the only difference between the two is your level of preparedness. The Jace case lets you be better prepared for whatever comes your way. It contains antibiotics and other prescription medications so that you aren't caught unprepared. With a Jace case, you are able to get your prescription medication before the unpredictable happens, allowing you to turn those not so good days into great ones. Go to Jace.com now and get your own Jace case.
You want to come full screen me before we go to this clip? This is the same case, but mine is designed differently than it would be for you or anybody else, because I can tell them exactly what I want in my case. Now, this is not something that you can just call anybody and get one of these. You have to talk to a doctor, a pharmacist, and they give you a prescription based on your information. Mine is different than everybody else's. But one of the things I really liked about this is because you can get, penicillin, you can get other things that you would need.
Yeah.
And not even just like, it's all hit the fan, the world's coming to an end survival kit. But even if you're going on a road trip, you're going on a boating trip, you're going camping for various reasons, this is a good thing to have. Yeah, and the way the Demoncrats are trying to do with their sleeper cells, I think it's a perfect time to get one.
Yeah, it's a pharmaceutical emergency kit. It does have everybody kind of gets the basic prescriptions, but it is based off of if you have any allergies or anything like that. You do have to, do a little list for a pharmacist. But, it has painkillers, allergy medicine, different type of typical, most often type prescriptions that people get for just, typical things that could happen. But then if you need one more customized, like let's say you have, diabetes or something like that, you can do add-ons to this. But it's a great emergency kit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this goes perfect
I
with,
think it has like a 3-month supply, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I have a bandage emergency kit, with Band-Aids and stuff like that in it. And this goes perfect with it, right? I mean, it goes perfect with it. I remember when I was working IT in California, one of the things that the company I was working for, they had us go through emergency training, like CPR and different stuff like that. And they gave us an emergency kit. And that emergency kit had bandages in it, scissors to cut the different things. And I'm like, man, this is perfect for it. Jace.com. Go check it out. Okay, now let's go back to this story I want to share with you. And again, the biggest scandal, one of the biggest scandals, if not the biggest scandal, Joe Biden, Obama, all of them.
But what I'm reading in your piece tells me that starting with Russia, and the Russia hoax, all the way through Jack Smith, we're talking about every incident of weaponization used against Donald Trump and how it could be part of a broader, grander conspiracy theory, a conspiracy that actually took place and law-breaking involved in it. And that also the statute of limitations would not be applicable in this case as a result. And this would include names like Comey and Clapper and Brennan. Take it from there.
Yeah, and Barack Obama, too, because he was in on these early meetings. So what the FBI has done is treated the last decade of weaponization, all the great work that James Comer has turned up through his oversight committee, and put it into a timetable and said, this looks like an ongoing conspiracy, a wash, rinse, repeat cycle of Democrat gets in legal trouble. Hillary Clinton in her email case, Hunter Biden with his taxes, Joe Biden with his classified documents. They're let off the hook even when there is extraordinary evidence suggesting they shouldn't be left off the hook. And then a parallel track occurs where the Republican, in this case Donald Trump, is investigated falsely for things like Russia collusion, Ukrainian interference, his own documents at his home in Mar-a-Lago. This is a criminal conspiracy. By treating it as a conspiracy, you eliminate the 5-year statutes on individual crimes. If something happened in 2016, but it was part of an ongoing conspiracy that continued with Jack Smith raiding Donald Trump's home home at Mar-a-Lago, it can be charged in the larger conspiracy, even though if you tried to charge it in an individual case, you wouldn't get it. Furthermore, you could also change the venue. Remember the troubles John Durham had bringing prosecutions to Washington, D.C.? Jurors wouldn't convict, even if they thought there was criminality going on. In this case, you could pick a place like Florida, where Jack Smith did the raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago house, and say that's where we're putting the grand jury. You get a more fair jury pool, a more fair grand jury pool. It gives Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, an enormous amount of flexibility to do something historic. Finally bring some accountability for all the things that Chairman Comer and Chairman Johnson, Chairman Grassley, Chairman Jordan have brought and proved to the American people.
So is it going to come? And that's the question. Are we going to see accountability happen? Are we actually going to see that happen? Right? I mentioned to y'all a minute ago that, it's coming. It's coming. One of the biggest things, you know what? And somebody might not like me for saying this, but you know what made me think about when people are saying that, oh, it's coming tomorrow, next week, or such and such date, it's going to happen? The Q. Y'all remember there was always this discussion about QAnon, this discussion about it. And I would always look at stuff. I try to look at stuff objectively, right? And I try to look at it. It's like, okay, there might be something here. I'll look at it. But the thing is they kept saying that, another Q drop and all this information. And they said, oh, it's coming. Trust the plan. It's coming. It's coming. It never came. It never came. The military. It never came. The white hats. You remember all of that? So ever since then, and I never did follow it. I had people upset and angry with me. I'm like, look, I like what they're saying is going to happen. If it happens, I like it. I mean, I'm all about it. But I'm not going to buy stock in it. If it happens, then let's go. But they kept doing it to the point, even now to today, even to some people, I was in a particular hardware store just the other day, and I had on my MAGA hat, and this guy walked up to me, and he was talking to me, and he brought up, he says, you've heard of Q, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, yeah, cool. And I'm like, even today, people are still going along with it when, look, I'm not knocking. I want what they were saying in Q to be true, but it never happened. And that what got me to the point of when they say that something is coming, something's going to happen, and it never happens. I want them to only show stuff when it happens. Don't tell me it's coming. Do it, and then let's talk about it. Do it. And you know what? We did get a little spoiled by Doge. I don't care what anyone says. See, Elon Musk wasn't saying, yeah, we're finding this information and we're going to show it. Yeah, we're finding this out and we're going to show it. We found out where they waste money here, they waste money there, and we're going to show it next week. That didn't happen. You know what happened? They said, oh, look, everybody, what we found. Look what we found over here. Look what we found over there. Look. Not, wait, we're going to show you. Look. This is all that you know what? We're adults. We can handle it. Show it to us. Give it to us. So I'm hearing them saying that, okay, they open up an investigation into Obama. Okay, I like it. Sounds good. Let's go. But let's not only be just an investigation. We know the corruption is there. I'm not saying, look, I know I'm not the only one, but I kept screaming at the rooftop saying there's no way that Obama did not know that they were spying on President Trump. There's no way he did not know. What, Obama, the FBI went to Obama and said, oh, Obama, yeah, we're getting ready, to spy on President Trump's campaign because it really looks like that he's going to beat out Hillary Rodham Clinton. And we're going to do XYZ to make him look like he's a Russian asset and he's working with Russia. And you mean to tell me that Obama go, do what you got to do, Don't tell me any details. Leave me out of it. I don't want to know about it. So I can deny knowing anything. No. And if he did say that, he's still held responsible because it happened under his watch. Even if he didn't know about it, let's just say he was completely oblivious to it. Obama didn't know nothing. He's still held responsible because it happened under his administration. That means he was not operating. He did not have control. He was not giving orders, and they were doing stuff just rogue. They should go to jail. He should be held responsible. But in this case, Brennan, just the other day, and I meant to get that clip, just the other day, Brennan was on MSDNC, and he actually said that Obama gave the order after all of these years. See, they're starting to fold in on each other. They said, well, if I'm going down, and they're going to squeal like little donkey pigs they are. I guarantee it. They're going to start squealing. And any of them connected with Hillary Rodham Clinton, I'm just telling you right now. Allegedly, there might just be a uptick in the stocks of the body bags. I'm just saying. If people start falling off, you remember years ago when all of a sudden just out the blue, it was kind of weird. And there was a couple cases. One case is it was like these doctors that was just jumping out of windows and like, this is weird. And they were, how do you say it? Not hallucinogenics. Is that correct? Is that how you say it? Halogenics? You know, for health reasons or something like that. And these doctors were just offing themselves. Well, at least that's what they were telling us. And then you had these on the stock exchange. These big stockbrokers, they were just business and CEOs. Y'all remember that? Do you remember any of that, Shannon? They were just all of like, what's going on? They're like just kind of like offing themselves. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
What's going on? And the reason why I'm bringing that up, because all of these people that are associated with this, and there's quite a few, if some of them just start I look, I'm not wishing, I don't want any of that to happen. I want them to see their day in court. I want justice. And them, just playing Superman, that doesn't work for me. But if we do start seeing some of that, it's going to be very questionable because they're going to start squealing. And like I just said, Brennan, he was on MSDNC and he just squealed, said, yeah, you know what, Obama, he was all part of it. He gave the order. And he was denying it. He was denying it. Just like the last 4 years when Biden was in office, the past 4 years, let me remind y'all of something. What year was the Epstein Island raided? What year was that? Like, was 2019? Something like that? Well, at the end of 2019, they had all the information. I'm not going to remember exactly the date. But at the end of 2019, that the island had already been raided. They gathered all the data. They had all that information. The end of 2019, they had the manifest. They had all that information. At the end of 2019, 2020 came. Republicans, MAGA Republicans, were all saying, where's the manifest? Where's the flight logs? Everybody was saying it. Everybody was saying. Now, I didn't go into like complete detail on it because it's like the Epstein. I'm like, okay, it's a sick ordeal. But everybody was asking. But the Demoncrats, crickets, nothing, nada, zero, zip. They act like it never even happened. But now all of a sudden, you even have Hakeem Joffrey's asking for the client list. Now, again, I don't like the way President Trump handled it, but then again, it could be some 5D chess going on here. I mean, he got these Demoncrats screaming about the client list. But come to find out, it's probably never going to get released, and the Democrats know this because are being told that there's some judges that actually have all of this information locked down. Now, if that is the case, that's what Pam Bondi's response should have been, that these judges have it locked down. And since we follow the law, we need pressure. You need to put pressure on these judges to release the information. But nonetheless, listen to Hakeem Joffrey's, like he's demanding the list.
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain. This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years.
So if it was a conspiracy, then why are you asking for a conspiracy? Idiot. Idiot. You hear him? He said it was a conspiracy, but now it's not, because now we want the information to come out.
And now the chickens are coming home to roost.
Huh.
The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, as many of Donald Trump's MAGA supporters apparently believe, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people. There are only two things that are possible here. Option one, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and the MAGA extremists intentionally lied to the American people for years about the Jeffrey Epstein situation. That's option one. Option two is that, in fact, there's reason for the American people to be concerned as it relates to what information has not been released that could be damaging to the Trump administration and the friends and family of the Trump administration and their billionaire corrupt supporters.
And that, you know what, that right there is what all of the radical leftist lunatics right now are pushing all over social media, everywhere. They're pushing that. Like, oh my goodness, Trump is on the list. He's on there. What is he hiding? What is he hiding? If Trump was on there for the last time, if Trump was on there, do you not think for 1 second that the Biden DOJ would have released that information? I mean, come on. We were all asking for it. Everybody was asking for it, except for the Demoncrats. And then we're like, okay, let's give them what they want. Oh, here's Trump's name, everybody. He's on a flight manifest. Here it is right here. Never happened. Never happened. But now these radical liberals, they're all trying to say that there's some association. That's the reason why he's not doing it. Could it just be that President Trump is doing the ultimate setup? I mean, he got all of it like, gotcha. What is it? How did David, I'm not going to say the whole thing, David Chappelle, gotcha. I don't know. But you know what? Trump, he's been able to play these people like so tough. This could be one of those cases. This could be. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. But it could be gotcha. And the reason why I say that, because there's some people that have yet to say anything about it. Where's Clinton? You know, any other time, Hillary Clinton, she's quick to run the MSDNC or the CNN, Communist News Network, or Clinton News Network. It's like an entire network just for her. She would be quick to run there. How come she's not saying nothing? This would be a perfect opportunity. Yes, Trump. Yes. Why are you hiding them, Trump? I know they're real because I'm on them. Well, wait a minute. Did I say that at all? She ain't saying nothing. Her or Billy. Nothing. I mean, it's like they got ghosts. Here's another one on Communist News Network. Talking about the same thing. The Democrats, all of a sudden, like they were like, oh, this need to come out.
Joining us right now is Democratic Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois. He is the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, do you agree with Hakeem Jeffries on this? Do you now want to see the files released?
Absolutely. Leader Jeffries is right. Either they misled the American people with this conspiracy theory for years, or they're covering it up now. I joined with Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland during the appropriations process last week. We offered an amendment together, and the amendment said that they should preserve the evidence of the Epstein investigation and release it to the American people. It passed by a voice vote. The Republicans didn't want a record vote on the issue, but it really gets to the bottom line. Let's let the American people see the truth.
A question, because I was looking back and saw that when you were chairman of the committee, there was some back and forth with Republicans on the committee over pieces of the Jeffrey Epstein file. Marsha Blackburn talking a lot about flight logs that she said she had requested that you had not allowed her, really allowed to see go forward. I guess my question is, it did not seem when you were chairman that you were pushing, as I hear you now say, then for the release of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Did something change for you?
Well, good for her. I mean, wow. She actually asked a good question. What changed? How come all of a sudden now you want the list to come out? I mean, please do tell. Do tell. And then again, it could go right back to Shannon. Did you ever find that article on that, the information about how they were, these judges are actually the ones who have this information locked down and they're not relaying that to the American people? And the Democrats know this?
Alan Dershowitz talks about that.
Alan Dershowitz talks about it. They have it locked down and they know that they're not going to release it. So the Democrats coming out there saying, oh, look at this, President Trump, he's the one not releasing it. He's not releasing it, when they were leaving the other information out from the American people. Well, let's hear his response about him now changing, about fighting to get this information released.
No, nothing changed. I said to Senator Blackburn, I'll be happy to subpoena these documents. Give me a written list of what you're searching for.
He's lying. He's lying. What do you mean written information on what you're searching for? Release it all, right? He's lying.
And I'll proceed and go forward. She never came up with that list because when you're in the midst of a conspiracy theory, it's a lot easier to make charges than to back them up with anything specific. I've never been reluctant. The argument that Biden was concealing something during those 4 years was just plain wrong and false. Now we have these statements from Kash Patel and from Pam Bondi that they had some evidence on their desk waiting and so forth. Release it. Let's get to the bottom line. Don't be.
You know what? You can get rid of them. The past 4 years, you know, part of the reason why none of it ever came out is because it wasn't their focus. They didn't want people to know the truth about the Epstein files. They didn't. Because only sick individuals were involved in it. And most of the sick individuals that do these sick things when it comes to little ones, you know what I'm talking about? When it comes to little ones, primarily are leftist leaning Demoncrats. I mean, just think about it. I mean, look what they're doing with children. Look at the sick stuff that they're, wanting children to take. These. And so it's always been them. And see, anything associated with exposing who they are to people who's not been paying attention, they want to shut it down. Well, here's a clip with Alan Dershowitz explaining the reason why this information is not coming out. It's not coming up for some reason for me. Did this one come up? Okay, that one did. Okay, here we go. There we go. Here he is. Listen.
Is the government hiding a client list or anything that the Trump administration could release tonight?
No, there is no client list. There never has been a client list. A client list suggests that Jeffrey Epstein made a list of people to whom he trafficked women. What there is a redacted FBI affidavit from accusers. There are several of them from accusers that accuse Jeffrey, that accuse various people of having improper sex. And that has been redacted. The names of the people accused have been blacked out. Now, of course, because I was the lawyer and I did only investigations, I know who all these people are. I could figure out, based on everything that I saw, who Mr. X is, Mr. Y is, and Mr. Z. I can tell you right now, none of them are public figures who are currently in office. Some of them were previously in office. Some of them are dead. But there is no client list. And the redactions could be undone if you go to court. So many of the things that are being suppressed by two judges in Manhattan. And they're doing it largely to protect the alleged accusers who are, in the view of the judges, victims, even though we don't know what their actual status is. But the judges have issued orders, which is why I can't disclose things I'd love to disclose, saying that you can't disclose this information. But Pam Bondi and the Justice Department and Donald Trump are not responsible for that. I don't know of any information.
So the problem I have, he just said Pam Bondi's not responsible for that. Then Pam Bondi should just came out and said that the judges have it locked down. And it's almost like, I'm guessing the reason why she didn't do that, because then she would have to come out, because we would say, well, you're the DOJ. Make it available. He's saying that there's judges that have all this information on lockdown. And then they're talking about the victims. I don't want to know the names of the victims. I don't want to know how many there were. Well, I guess we can know the number of victims. But I don't want to know any personal detail about the victims. I don't. And be honest with you, you can take off the screen. Most of the time, I never even really just did any deep dive into the Epstein. I've seen people talk about it constantly. Alex Jones, Alex Jones was saying, had that whole thing that, Epstein didn't hang himself with the Christmas trees and all that. And many people talked about it, but I didn't really go into it. But now it's like everyone's talking about it because President Trump did what he did. It is what it is. I still support President Trump. And the never Trumpers, you just wanted some excuse not to support Trump in the first place. That's all that it is. You weren't going to support, you really didn't want to support Trump. And now you have a reason not to support him. Right? That's all it is. He's not perfect. And I've made that clear. President Trump is not perfect. I don't think has he ever claimed to be perfect? I don't think so. UniteAmericaFirst.com, UniteAmericaFirst.com, everybody. Go there, sign up for the free newsletter. You see it right there. Free newsletter. UniteAmericaFirst.com. And also, when y'all come, if you go to UniteAmericaFirst.com, you ever want to know the times of my shows? You can see it right there. Today is Tuesday. And on Thursdays, I do 3 shows. Minimum 3 shows. Sometimes I do 4. But I do 3 shows on Tuesday. If you ever wonder, you can go there, set your mobile device to the times. Go check out Will. The name of it. Check out Will. He's live on your mobile device. That way you don't have to worry about depending on the notifications that they decide that they don't want you to get. Right? They'll let you decide to get some notifications of some really crazy stuff, but not when it comes to Will Johnson, because they know Will Johnson loves this country. So UniteAmericaFirst.com. And also, if you want to support me, by all means, UniteAmericaFirst.com/donate. You can see there's some options right there if you want to support me monthly. Greatly appreciate it. But if you just want to support me one time, say, you know what, I like the information this guy is bringing to the table, I'll throw him, $5 or so. Please bless me by considering going to one of those different options you see right there. Or you don't like the digital thing, which a lot of people don't, and I completely get it. There's my physical address right there. And just to let you know, every single person throughout the years that have sent me anything to my physical address from California to here, I've kept every single letter and envelope. I've kept every single one. It's for the non-presidential will library. It's something that I said, I'm going to start doing this because I never plan on doing what I'm doing. But I said, this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to keep every single one. So when I become an old man, I get to go back and look at all the wonderful letters and read them again. God bless you all, everyone. See you in 1 hour from now on the Culture Wars. Again, my website, UnitedAmericaFirst.com, and you can see the